Hello students, let's go for the next chapter, chapter 2, that is data center environment. Chapter objectives. So upon completion of this chapter, you will be able to list the components of data center environment, that is host, connectivity and storage. Also, you can list the physical and logical components of the host, describe the key connectivity options, describe the physical disk structure, and also discuss various factors affecting the disk performance. So, key data center elements. So, before going for this particular topic, let us see what is a data center, what is the importance of data center. So today, data centers are essential and integral parts of any business, whether it may be a medium scale, large scale, or a small scale industry. Okay. So here, with the evolution of virtualization, data centers are being evolved from classical data center to virtual data centers, or we call these virtual data centers as VDCs. So in VDCs, how it works is, in VDC, physical resources from a classical data centers are pooled together and provided as a virtual resources. So this abstraction hides the complexity and limitation of physical resources from the user. So what actually means the classical data center means the normal data center, which includes all the required components like as we have seen in the previous slides, the core elements of data center includes application, DBMS, host, network and storage. So I said that the data center can be in the form of a building, complete building which includes all these components, core elements. Is it? So if you don't have all those resources, like if you want to implement a virtual data center, it will be cost effective. Okay. So by consolidating IT resources using virtualization, organizations can optimize their infrastructure utilization and reduce the total cost of owning an infrastructure. So for building a data center, you need budget. Is it so? It costs you so much because the infrastructure itself for building that particular data center is very more, and it leads to the very high cost. So we go for virtualization, virtualized data centers, where you can form the pool of resources by including the resources of the classical data center, and it also helps you to deploy these virtual data centers very fast, and also it compared to the classical data centers. So here that is the use of virtual data centers. So if you are going for a data center, so what are the key elements of the data center? It includes the application. So what is an application? You have to know first. The application is any kind of computer program that provides logic for computing operations. Applications generally send requests for the underlying operating system to perform any read-write operations on the storage devices. So actually, any applications it may be. So when you are using a particular data center, what is the work of the data center here? Finally, it has to store some data center in the storage systems. Is it? It might be a disk. So before that, to read or write those data, you need applications. So usually these applications are the main computer programs that are going to send the request for the underlying operating system. So operating system may be anything, but you need the application mainly to perform any read-write operation on the storage devices. So applications are deployed actually in the data center environment, and they are mainly categorized into business applications, infrastructure management applications, data protection applications, and security applications. So based on your usage, you can categorize these applications into different kinds. Maybe if you are using Amazon, you are saying. They are mainly the business purpose applications. So if you want to implement some applications for security reasons, might be if you are using a particular data center for military operations, then you need all security applications. So based on your usage, the data centers you deploy these applications, and these applications are mainly categorized into business applications or infrastructure management applications, data center applications, data protection application, and security applications. So few examples we can consider here. What kind of applications it might be. So here examples we can take as emails, enterprise resource planning, or we call it as ERP, decision support systems, and also you have resource management applications, backup, authentication, and antivirus applications, and there are many more other applications also which may be used for reading or writing the data into the storage devices. So any data center, it also should include the DBMS. So why you need this DBMS? So a database is a structured way to store any data in a logical organized tables that are interrelated. So we had a kind of data which can be categorized into structured data and unstructured data. So normally we are going to store the structured data into the DBMS. Then a DBMS controls the creation, maintenance, and use of a database. So there should be something called a database management system to have a data center. There are some other main components also, that is host, connectivity, and storage to be in a data center. One of the main component in the data center is the host, or we call it as compute. So why we need this particular host? So normally we say laptops as a host, any computer as a host. So usually users store and retrieve the data through applications. That always any application is needed to store or retrieve the data. So the computers on which these applications run are referred to as hosts, or we call it as compute systems. So the host can also be physical machines, or sometimes it may be virtual machines. So when you have the virtualization or virtual machines, a compute virtualization software enables creating the virtual machines on the top of the physical computer infrastructure. So here examples of physical hosts generally includes desktop computers. So you can see here laptops, examples you can see servers, sometimes group of servers, or we call it as cluster of servers, and mobile devices also we call it as host. A host usually consists of the main components of the host are CPU, storage, input output devices, and also you need some software to run these particular machines. So what kind of software it includes? It includes operating system, file system, and also logical volume manager, device drivers, and many other other software applications also you need to have in the particular host. So this software can also be installed as separate entities, or it can be it can be implemented when you install the OS. Okay. CPU consists of four main components generally. It includes ALU unit, control unit, registers, and also cache. So again, there are two types of memory on any particular host. When you say a system or any laptop, you have two main memories. It is or two types of memory. It is random access memory and read only memory. or we call it as random RAM and ROM. So the other input output devices, what kind of input output devices the system may have? It includes keyboards, mouse, monitors, many other other important input output devices also you may connect to the particular host. So this is totally about the host. The CPU consists of four components: ALU unit, control unit, registers, and level 1 cache. So level 1 cache is different from L2 cache or L3 cache. Level 1 cache is generally built into the microprocessor itself, whereas L2 cache is the cache memory. It will be on the separate chip, or you say expandable card. Uh, so in that it will be built. So here mainly the L1 cache is the cache memory, but they are built on the microprocessor chip. So if you want to communicate from the host to the particular storage device, you need input output devices to communicate, is it? So the data transfer to and from a host, okay, it happens through the input output devices itself. So there are several ways to communicate with the computer or the host. So user to host communications are generally done by using the keyboards, mouse and monitor. Whereas host to host communications may be from laptop to laptop communication, or you want to communicate between the servers. Okay, so these kind of communications happen generally through NICs or modems. So NICs means network interface cards. Okay, that is built on the host itself. Um, they are needed mainly for the communication purpose. And next thing is host to storage device communications. If you want to do, then you have to go for HBS or host bus adapters. So now let us see what is an operating system, and this operating system is a component that has to be in the host. Okay, for working of any host you need the operating system. So what is an operating system? It is a system software that manages computer hardware and the other software resources. So usually in a traditional computing environment, an operating system controls all aspects of computing. And where this operating system lies, it, so if you consider any system, it can be categorized into different layers. So if you consider a system into application layer and physical component layer, or the hardware layer actually. So this operating system lies between the application layer and the physical component layer, or the hardware layer. Okay, and you also have one more component in the system. If we talk about the virtualization, so it is a virtualized computing environment, or we call it as virtualization layer. So where this virtualization layer exactly it lies? It lies between the operating system and the hardware resources. So above layer will be the application layer. After that you have operating system layer, and then you have virtualization layer, and below that you will be having the hardware resource layer. So so this you have to visualize. And what are the main functions of OS? So one of the main services it provides is a application, is a mainly the data access, and also it monitors and responds to the user actions and the environment. So if you want to interact with any of the system, laptop, okay, you need OS there. So also it organizes and controls the hardware components. So if you are going to install a new adapter, maybe a network adapter, you have a new hardware component, is it? So to interact with that particular hardware component, you need OS there. Is it? And also it manages the allocation of hardware resources. So hardware resources, you may have CPU or you have memory. So all these are hardware resources. So to manage or allocate the memory, you need OS. And also it provides a basic security for the access. So basic security. So unauthorized access should not happen in your laptops or in the system. So the OS provides the basic security for your system, and also it's used to manage all the resources of your system, and also it performs the basic storage management tasks, and it manages the file system, volume manager, and the device drivers in your host. So memory virtualization. So here, if we talk about memory, memory is a expensive component in a host. So if you buy a laptop or a computer, you ask for how much memory you have is there in that particular laptop. So nowadays generally you use 8 GB laptop. Previously you had 4 GB laptops or 2 GB laptops. And if you are going for a gaming laptop, then the memory may be very high. Okay. So memory is a expensive component of any host. So it determines both the size and number of applications that can run on a host. So if your size of a computer or you say RAM is low, okay, you can run number of applications on the host. Okay, here memory virtualization is an operating system feature that virtualizes the physical memory of a host. So think that you're working on a particular host and you need to virtualize your memory, or we call it as VM or virtual machine you have created. So using that virtual machine you can ask for extra memory from the other hosts. Okay, so it creates virtual memory within the address space larger than the physical memory space present in the computing system. That means you have some available memory in your system. Okay, so if suppose you think that 4 GB you have in your system, you need some more extra 4 GB of memory. So you can ask it from the uh, other hosts if you have virtual memory that is being installed in the system, or if you are running a virtual machine, then you can ask for some other memory from the other computers. Okay. The operating system utility that manages the virtual memory is known as virtual memory manager, or we call it as VMM. So the space used by VMM on the disk is known as swap space. So now let us see what is a swap space. So swap space is a portion of the disk drive that appears to be a physical memory to the operating system. So it appears to be a swap space appears to be a physical memory to the operating system. But again you have created certain virtual memory there using the physical memory. So here, in a virtual memory implementation, a memory of the system is divided into continuous blocks of fixed size pages. Okay, so finally, when you have, suppose you're running, one side you're running Windows OS, another side you're running a Linux OS, and you have created a virtual space or a virtual memory. So that time, this virtual memory which you have allocated from both, which you have allocated from both the OS, will be in the form of continuous blocks of fixed size pages. Okay. A process known as paging moves inactivate physical memory pages onto the swap file and then brings them back whenever it is required. Okay. So there is no wastage of memory space in your system when you are going to create this kind of virtual memories. So next you have one more component in the host, that is device driver. So a device driver is a special software that permits the operating system to interact with any of the specific devices such as printer, mouse, or a disk drive. So here whenever you are trying to install in or you are trying to insert a new hardware unit for your system, that should be a device driver to interact with the OS. Okay, so think that you have bought a new printer. Okay, so that time also you need a device driver that has to be installed in the system to interact with that particular hardware unit. Okay, so same way when you are entering when you are having a new mouse, that time also you need to install a new device driver. So this is a main component, one of the main component. Device driver is the main component in the host.